Hi everybody, I'm here today to read you the first chapter of Daisy Dawson, and it's called Daisy Dawson is on Her Way. Your English activities for the week are based around this book, so listen back to the video as many times as you like, and I hope you enjoy the story. An unusual conversation. "Daisy, don't dawdle," called her mother as Daisy ambled out into the sunshine and stopped to pick up a worm that was stranded on the path. "Miss Frink said you were late 3 times last week." Daisy smiled to herself as the worm wriggled in her hand. Late 3 times. That meant she'd actually been on time twice. Not bad, really. She tipped the worm into the flower bed and watched it burrow through the crumbly earth. Then she stood up, hitched her satchel over her shoulder and skipped down the garden path. "Don't worry, Mum," she said, dusting her hands together and swinging around the gatepost. "Daisy Dawson is on her way." The day was warm and the sky was china blue. Bees buzzed amongst the foxgloves, and Daisy wandered down the lane, humming a little tune to herself. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, she caught sight of a beautiful yellow butterfly stuck in a spider's web. As she crouched down to take a closer look, a black spider emerged from beneath a leaf and began crawling across the web towards it. "Oh, no, you don't," said Daisy, cupping her hand protectively around the struggling insect. As the spider scuttled back to its hiding place, she scooped the butterfly out of the web and carefully pulled some sticky strands from its wings. "There you go," she said, "back in the world again." Then she smiled and opened her palms towards the sky. The butterfly was still for a few moments. Then, very slowly, it spread its wings and fluttered gracefully up into the air. Daisy shielded her eyes against the sun and blinked as the butterfly swooped low past her face, brushing her cheek gently with the tip of its wing. Then it rose once more into the warm air and flew high into the treetops, growing smaller and smaller, until finally it was lost from sight. As Daisy watched it fly away, her cheek began to tingle, as though something was sparkling beneath her skin. She touched her hand to her face, and a delicious warm feeling fizzed through her fingers, tumbling like a wave through her whole body until it reached all the way down to the tips of her toes. "How very strange," she whispered. Just then, somewhere among the white blossoms of an apple tree, a blackbird began to sing. Its sweet music floated down through the summer sky, and, to her astonishment, Daisy realised that she could understand exactly what it was singing about. The notes spun softly around her like strands of silk, weaving a song about clouds and apples, sunshine and stars. Daisy gasped in surprise and shook her head. "Don't be silly, Daisy," she told herself. "Pull yourself together. Birds can't talk." It was then that she remembered where she was supposed to be. Only yesterday Miss Frink had told her not to be late again. Pulling up her satchel, she twirled around and wandered slowly on towards school. Across the meadow, she could see the white mare tugging at tufts of grass in the shade of the beech tree. Daisy leant on the gate and peered into the shadows of the tumbling down barn, trying to see if an old stray dog was anywhere about. She liked to share a bit of her lunch with him on the way to school. Ham sandwiches were his favourite, and she had made an extra one just in case. "Rover," she called, opening up her lunchbox. "Rover, come and see what I've got for you." A large, grumpy-looking bloodhound stuck his head through a hole in the bricks, blinking and sneezing in the bright sunlight. Its fur was the colour of sandstone, and its serious brown eyes stared out from the folds of its baggy skin that hung down around its face. As it padded towards her, its long floppy ears swung back and forth, flapping up dust from the dry ground. When it reached the gate, it stopped and looked at her expectantly. "Good morning," it said in a deep, gravelly voice. "What's on the menu today, then?" Daisy was so shocked that she dropped her lunchbox and put her hand up to her mouth. "This cannot be happening," she thought. She shut her eyes tightly for a moment, then opened them again. The dog was still there, looking straight at her. I beg your pardon," Daisy said uncertainly, still unable to believe her ears. "But did you say something to me?" "Of course," replied the dog. "It would have been rude not to." He paused for a moment, as if deep in thought, then said slowly, "Wait a minute. Do you actually understand what I'm saying to you?" "Yes," replied Daisy. "I think I do." The dog made a noise somewhere between a bark and a laugh. "This," he said, "is amazing." "But you understand me as well. So that's pretty amazing too." The dog cocked his head to one side. "Dogs always understand what humans say," he replied. "No, they don't," said Daisy. "Take my Auntie Kath's dog. He never does anything she tells him." The dog's brow crinkled a little, like a ploughed field. "That doesn't mean he doesn't understand," he said. "He probably just doesn't want to do it." "Oh," said Daisy thoughtfully. "I see what you mean." "There you go, then," said the dog. There was silence for a moment while the two of them thought about this. Then the dog said, "My name's not Rover, by the way. It's Boom." Seeing the puzzled look on Daisy's face, he added, "I was born on fireworks night, you see." "Really?" Daisy smiled. "That must have been a bit of a shock for you." "It was rather," agreed Boom. "The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was 1,000 rockets exploding above me. Huge blazing stars of red, green, orange and gold. My mother said it was the whole world celebrating my birthday." Daisy heard the sadness in Boom's voice and guessed he probably didn't see his mother anymore. "Boom's a lovely name," she said. "It suits you." "Thank you," said Boom. "What about you? Do you have a name?" "Two, actually," said Daisy. "I'm Daisy Dawson." "Well, Daisy Dawson," said Boom, "I'm pleased to make your acquaintance at last." Likewise, said Daisy, and stuck her arm through the gate. Boom put his soft paw into her hand. As Daisy shook it, he said, "Am I the first dog you've ever spoken to?" "Not exactly," said Daisy. "I mean, I've spoken to lots of dogs before, but you're the first one who's ever replied." Boom chuckled. "Well, fancy that," he said. Then he licked his lips and peered longingly through the gate at Daisy's fallen lunchbox. "I don't suppose you've got any spare bits and pieces in there for me?" "Of course," said Daisy, picking it up. "Actually, I've brought along your favourite." Boom raised an eyebrow. "Not ham?" he asked. "Honey roasted," said Daisy, producing a sandwich with a flourish. "Extra thick." "You," said Boom, "are an angel from heaven." Daisy giggled. "Tell that to Miss Frink." Then she looked at her watch and remembered. "Oh my goodness," she explained. "I'm going to be late for school." "Is that bad?" asked Boom through a mouthful of sandwich. Miss Frink thinks so, said Daisy. She turned to go, then looked back over her shoulder and waved. Nice talking to you, Boom, she called. See you again soon. Then, hitching up her satchel, she ran down the dusty lane towards the gates of Nettle Green Primary School. I hope you enjoyed that. The next chapter is called Cheesy Cheddars, so be sure to look back at this page for when I put the next one up. Bye!